The I'm going live tweet just got retweeted by Twitch community? What is that? Do they just like retweet everything on Twitch now? Possibly. Thanks for the retweet, where the heck you are. I'll take it. We're not tripping about that. So hello everyone. Hello, Jamie, K-Bot, Taku, Young Tofi, Riza, 003, Spol. Welcome, Maddie. Okay. Forgot I wrote notes on the plane, and I wanted to make sure everything I wanted to put in here ended up in here. Legit did not watch, did not look at the bracket of the tournament until just now. Hi, Carrot. I'm going to raid you after this, because I saw you were going to be streaming later today. Okay. Wow, I didn't realize how long Cherry Limeade spent in Losers. Crown 9 spent the whole day in Losers? Why'd they spend so long in that? Oh, they had like seed priority over blush. Did Blush not lose a single game? No, wait, why was... Blush was like... Yeah, Blush only dropped games to FT Win and 1 game to Numbers, right? Oh, hey, Falco. How about that? Oh, no. Stop. Hey, cease this nonsense. Thank you, Falco. Okay, you didn't. You said it wasn't a real word either. All right, so don't start with that. I said we just gotta call them Team Blob. Anytime I mispronounce anything, it's gotta be a doggone meme forever. When the measures depth of water in ocean, seas, or lakes. Or in a bathtub, you know, because it's called bathymetry.
Could I get a bathymetry reading on this bathtub, please, good sir?
Blush did not know their group. Okay. So they only... Okay, good thing we're doing this research 1 minute. Welcome, Raiders from Falco Stream. Thank you, Falco. Hope you enjoy. Hiya, hiya. You're saying it wrong. It's not a real word. I can't mispronounce a word that you guys just made up. Okay, now, here's my pick to be the team that finishes in second place. I don't want to put undue pressure on this team, but
Really?
I like Blush a lot. Splat is from, do you remember the team Welcome to Good Burger? Support player for that. Boopy, I don't know if Boopy's currently on a team or not, but formerly of Tukey.
Okay.
Lost Vanilla Carbon player.
Yes, that's
Vanilla
right.
Carbon player. Yeah.
Lost from
Fantasy, like a year ago.
Yeah.
And of course, Haya from Destiny Troops. Your favorite player to play against. I know.
Listen.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. While you are currently playing a game at Low Tide City while listening to the Popcast at the same exact time, trying to get everyone to try that awful fire Mountain Dew cinnamon thing, thinking that squid bagging me on stream was going to work out for you in a positive way. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. So I'm home from Low Tide City, as I hope all of you are as well. Devi, I know you got sent all over the place, and your bags got sent somewhere else. I think Lily had some issues getting across the border as well. I think I was the very last person to leave Texas. My flight got out at 8:15 Central Time yesterday night. So if there's still people that are like traveling around, hopefully you make it home safe. If not, we got it done. There you go, man. It's good to be home. I'm tired of eating burgers and pizzas and Vincent's gummy bears. So I was walking around the airport yesterday. I kind of had a hunger in my belly for some fish and chips and maybe wash it down with a cherry limeade. But I'm not a big fan of eating the same meal 2 days in a row. News of some tournaments that are going on that may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. Minnow Cup is going to be on May the 14th. That is going to be the Tower Control edition of that tournament. Minnow Cup is now a regular event going on every single month, so make sure you sign up for that. That is a low-level tournament. Oh my gosh, there's so many low-level tournaments. Yes, there are some good low-level tournaments, and there are some that need to just not. We've been pretty consistent about that. I'm not going to have a conversation about it. I saw enough of that nonsense on Twitter. But speaking of low-level tournaments, we got a few more to go with. The week after the 14th, it is the Low Ink Weekend, May the 21st and the 22nd. Only 4 Low Inks remain before Splatoon 3 comes out, so make sure you win it now so that you can end Splatoon 2 holding up that title, knowing that you accomplished it and you didn't have to wait until Splatoon 3 came out and with all the broken jank that's going to happen as soon as that game comes out. Now, during the Saturday of Low Ink, Nintendo is running a tournament, a Turf War tournament, which is fine. I've said this in the public IPL channel. I want Nintendo to run their event during Low Ink. I don't want them to try to compete against Little Squid League or Minnow Cup. Low Ink is going to be cookies and juice running against Nintendo. We don't care. We are not scared at all of running an event the same time Nintendo does. We couldn't care less. We'll lose like 2 teams maybe, and we might lose like a couple of teams that finish near the bottom of Low Ink, which honestly that would be a good tournament for them to get some more experience in a tournament with a bunch of casual teams, get some wins there, and come back to Low Ink the next month. We're fine with that. Play whatever tournament you want to do. I'm just saying I'm happy Nintendo's running during Low Ink and not trying to compete against somebody else. The weekend after that, to close out May, Little Squid League is having a low-level major on the 28th through the 29th with a major prize pool. I believe it's at $500 starting out. That is a Div 7 and below tournament. I'm sure it has exemption requests because the staff that runs that event does know what they're doing and has earned the respect of low-level over the long time that they've been going on. So make sure you sign up for that. At the same weekend, if you are, I'm not eligible for Little Squid League. Well, guess what? There's another major going on that time that's open invite, the same exact time. 20XX is going on at the same exact time, streamed by Dapple Productions. I don't know what the current prize, I think the prize pool starting off was $400 for that. So I don't want to hear any of you crying anymore about not getting events. If you want more high-level events, play in the ones you got. That's all I'm saying. Play in the stuff, be appreciative of the stuff that you got. And maybe more will come. Unless it doesn't. Today, we are talking all stuff Low Tide City. Explaining it to those of you who weren't able to participate, and sharing some memories for those of you who did actually participate this event. We're also, late edition is going to sneak in the Magic 8 Ball, making a record 3rd appearance onto the Popcast to get his thoughts on some things that went on in Low Tide City. From like his journalistic perspective, and also talk about a big TikTok tournament that is going to be going on that was sent my way yesterday. So I wanted to ask about that. But first, If you have any questions, I'm getting better at this. If you have a message in chat you want me to actually acknowledge on the podcast, highlight it. Leave a highlighted message in chat. At the end of the segment, I'll go back. If it's a question, I'll answer it. If it's a comment, I'll look at it first to see if it's actually good or not before I read it. But if you want me to actually pay attention to you, leave a highlighted message in chat and I'll get back to it. So this was supposed to be a forgettable weekend, right? Because Riptide got announced, and then Shine got announced right after that, and then we found out those were going to be Splatoon 2 events, and Splatoon 3 was going to be like hodgepodge somewhere into Riptide. So everybody just kind of forgot that Low Tide City was going to take place. It was just going to be something that happened, right? I mean, nobody signed up for it. There weren't going to be a lot of people there. Smash wasn't going to have a high representation because they had Genesis and Pound back-to-back weekends leading up to this one. It was just FT Win and Starburst. It was just a bunch of mid-level teams. Low Tide City was supposed to suck, and we were going to forget about it forever. Uh-oh. So that's not what everybody who actually went to this event is saying now, is it? In fact, I'll make the case that this was probably one of my favorite, if not favorite, Splatoon-related things I've ever done. Ever been a part of, participated in. It was an absolute blast. Where do we want to start off? There's several different things that we can do here, and a lot of this was written on an airplane later at night, and just kind of glanced over to make sure it's all correct. Right before I went live because I slept in really late today, and then spent most of the day hanging out with my wife, who I missed, and my dog, and all that stuff. But I feel like it's best to kind of start off with the venue itself, and not the gaming hall, but the venue, just the Kalahari Resort in general, because the way that sucker is kind of constructed completely changed the event altogether, comparing it to Riptide. It was much, much bigger than the Riptide Kalahari. The arcade was not just stuck downstairs combined with like laser tag and the bowling alley, and I guess there was a bar down there. I never realized there was a bar at the Riptide Kalahari. Instead, the arcade was just its giant own area. The water park, its giant own area. I didn't even see the water park. I didn't go there, but I know several people were very positive about it that did actually go there. The bowling alley again wasn't just stuck at the arcade. It was like its own building next to the arcade, like a building inside a building. It was a much bigger actual bowling alley with its own bar and its own gourmet burger kind of thing. Like it was like a $15 burger, but it wasn't at least like a $15 McDonald's burger. It was at least a legit gourmet kind of burger that was worth the price, in my opinion. More restaurant options in general. The lobby was so much better. The lobby at Riptide was just a giant mess of a lot of different things. You got like the Italian restaurant right there. You got the candy shop, the gift shop, the coffee place. You got the check-in thing, and then like a handful of couches hidden behind the check-in area. So like if you wanted to just hang out until somebody came in and then catch up with them, you couldn't do that at Riptide unless you were just awkwardly standing in the middle of all that stuff. Here at Low Tide City, you walk into the venue, you got the check-in area to your right, and then in front of you is just this massive, massive lobby full of like 20 or 30 chairs in lounge areas. So like it's very easy to just walk into the venue and just instantly see a bunch of people that you might want to talk to or catch or just like sit there and catch people as they're coming in. Just wave them down and just talk to them for a little bit. That was the lobby itself was just a major upgrade over the one in Sandusky, Ohio. But just more restaurant options, better everything. Everything was just flat out better. And it made it a lot easier to hang out with people. So people always hang out at LANs after not not during like the actual playing event, but like afterwards. There's always like little after parties, so to speak. They're always stuck in their own little isolated groups, though, in somebody's hotel room, and it's always kind of. It just depends on who's hosting it. You might be stuck in somebody's room where it's kind of awkward to move around because there's too many people in one room, and like the person who's actually in that room is just stuck with everybody until they all leave. So like if your roommate wants to go to bed, I got to kick out these 20 people and just send them to go to somebody else's room for a little bit. And you're just hanging out with just those people. You don't get to hang out with anybody else unless your group combines with somebody else in somebody else's room. So like there's always been people hanging out, but it's always just been in isolated little areas there. So there is an actual bar area we found pretty quickly at the Kalahari in, I guess, Round Rock, Texas. So we went there. It was just like downstairs. So the first night, we're just kind of there, and there's like 10 or so Splatoon people right there. And I was like, this is pretty cool. That we've never really just had an area for just the older Splatoon people to just kind of sit and hang out openly in front of, like, in an open lobby where other people can join us. And we look outside, and they got these two little fire pit areas, or I guess say two pretty decently sized gas fire pit areas that are just running every night until we found out until 1:30 in the morning. We found out one time. So the first night, Thursday, we just go out there and we just hang and we chill. And Falco takes a picture of us just hanging out at the fire pit and having a good time. And posted it pretty late. It was like 1 a.m. I guess when Falco posted that, and got a few likes. It was cool. So we go back to your room or whatever and go to bed. I wake up the next day. I look at that tweet again just to see that picture, and it already had over 100 likes. And I was like, uh-oh, the word has gotten out. The fire pit is now the place to be. And that's where it was. The next 3 nights, it was nothing but people going and hanging out at the fire pit and just having this awesome time. And everybody, that became the thing everyone was talking about. And like people who weren't at the event were like, I keep hearing about this fire pit thing. It looks like a lot of fun. And it was. The fire pit thing was the best thing that I've ever experienced at a LAN. Just open, basically all those parties that are going on of people just hanging out with each other, finally in an open area where it's just very convenient for people to come and go as they please. You want to go to bed, you just leave. If you want to stay a little bit later, you can. And everybody was there. And the longer it went on, more people showed up. And we just basically just took over that area. And it was just so easy to socialize, which is the point of this LAN. The point of going to a LAN, especially with Splatoon, how small we are, is just to socialize, just to connect with each other. Get to know one another instead of just the IGN behind a computer screen over a profile picture of your squid that you commissioned someone to make. No, we actually see your face, and we can actually talk to you, and we can hear your voice, and we could just vibe and have a great time. That was so awesome. And it's good because it's hard to communicate and socialize outside of areas like that. It's hard to communicate at the gaming hall where everything just kind of took place. Because there's so much going on, especially for me in particular, who's playing, commentating, and volunteering. Not that those things are difficult to do, and nowhere near as difficult as the people who are actually running the event, who had even less time to socialize than I did. But it's hard to go through the gaming hall during the actual event, and people constantly coming up to you and asking you to sign posters, while you're also like trying to compete, or you're trying to get to some other spot that you need to be at, or somebody snagging you for a picture or want to talk to you. And you're like, I genuinely want to talk to you, but I have to go somewhere else, and I'll forget to circle back. Hey, there's this fire pit. I'll see you at the fire pit later tonight. Meet me there. We'll have a conversation, kind of thing. So that's why, and I knew that was coming. I knew it was going to be hard because I've been to several. I've been to 3 lands now, and I understand how difficult it is to actually communicate at the actual LAN. So that's why I was reaching out to people on Thursday and Friday. Kingmaker, I DM'd them, was like, hey, we should hang out today because I didn't get to talk to you guys at Riptide. And once the event starts, my availability is going to be all over the place. So we should actually hang out. So Thursday and Friday were the good days to actually do that. But adding the fire pit element allowed the socialization to continue beyond those Thursday and Friday days where we weren't actually playing. And everybody was there. You had Rizza, Siren, Magic, Falco, Lily, K-Bot, Vincent, Stu the announcer. That was awesome having Stu there to just kind of pick his brain about Splatoon stuff. By the way, a huge missed opportunity with Stu the announcer being the person announcing the teams for losers and grand finals, for Push Meet Booger Bottom not to make losers finals so that Stu can just give this epic introduction for a team called Push Meet Booger Bottom. Man, that would have been something. Several other people as well. FT Win started showing up after a few days. Cherry Limeade was there, and several other people as well. All those people I kind of mentioned, most people know what they look like. Not to say like, oh, we're the faces of Splatoon, but we're easily recognizable. I mean, myself, because I got this light in front of my head and it reflects a little bit. I understand that, but it's cool to just have all those people in an area that are open to chatting with other people, and it just humanizes all of us, and it was just really amazing. Even the people that stayed off site. So I stayed off site. I did not stay at the Kalahari. I stayed at a hotel about 7 minutes away and rented a car so it'd be easy. It would be cheaper instead of just like Ubering all the time. By the way, for those of you who are old enough to rent a car, which I believe is 25, like maybe a handful of you, other than Air Sign. Sorry, I pointed out how old you are. I found this out the hard way. Do not book a car rental through a third party. Like, book it directly through a website or like directly through with the company. Like I booked it through a third party website, Expedia, and then I had the like situation came up to where I like had to cancel that car rental because I didn't bring a credit card with me, and nobody told me I had to bring a credit card for that specific rental, even though the other ones didn't require you to bring one. So I had to like cancel that, but I couldn't cancel with the car rental company because you booked it through Expedia, and I couldn't cancel it through Expedia because they were like, oh, you got to cancel it through that company. So you had to like get those two companies to like talk to each other to get your money back for a situation not your fault. So I just went to enterprise.com. This is such a promotional pitch. I don't care. I went to enterprise.com. I got a car in 5 minutes, skipped this like line of like 100 people going out to budget. And the dude was like super cool. And he was just like, hey man, here's this car, and make sure you don't do any pull out or peel outs or anything like that on it. And it's like, dude, it's just like a little 4-person car. But that was so awesome. I was so pissed in that moment and made it better. Rent a car directly through the company, not through a third-party website. We're getting on here. But people stayed off-site, which I did. People stayed at Airbnbs. And my fear was staying off-site was that I was going to lose a little bit of connection to the actual event. That is not true. People from the Airbnbs came over to the fire pit. People that stayed off-site came over to the fire pit. Multiple nights. Everybody knew that was the one spot to socialize and connect with each other. That's something we never had before. We've never had something like that before. And I was talking with Rizza. I was like, was there anything close to this at the Kalahari in Ohio? And I think what Rizza said was that the Smash players were hanging out on that bridge, like the bridge that kind of connected the parking lot to the front lobby. That doesn't seem like a good hangout spot, but there's no like fire pit. There's no even like bar area. Now, I know like the teenagers hung out in the arcade at the Ohio one, and that's great. So that was good proof of that. But for like the adults in the area, there was no real place for the adults to hang out. But we need to find a way to replicate that. We need to find a way to replicate that at Riptide and at Shine. And Shine, I have no idea. I have no clue what the venue actually is or anything like that. But we as a community need to find a way to replicate that fire pit, because it was the best thing this community's ever had as far as like just connecting with each other. What a crazy kind of thing there, which is the whole point of the LAN. Basically, it's just kind of reconnecting. So that's enough talking about gas fire. Let's talk about the tournament, the actual in-game, the actual venue, the gaming hall itself. The main story with the gaming hall here is the actual layout of it. In Riptide, Splatoon was often its own individual room. It was just us. The station were set up away from the stage. The commentators were more hidden. It was more space to spread out. The stage was more wasn't as congested. There were a lot more chairs kind of situated because there was more people playing, but when they were done, there was more room for an audience to kind of spectate matches on stream, especially when it got to grand finals. Genesis 7, the last time Genesis had Splatoon, it was all in just one giant room. Splatoon, all the Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Rivals of 8th Year, and Artist Alley were all in just one gigantic room. And that was crazy. This was basically Genesis, everything in one room, except on a much smaller scale. In fact, that room that we were in was just half the size of the room. There was just like a fake wall, I believe. I believe the wall that we were next to was a fake wall that extended into like a bigger room, or maybe like the back one. I don't know, but it could have been even bigger. It was just the correct size that we needed for the amount of people that signed up for the event, not just on the Splatoon side, but the Smash Brothers side as well. So there was the opportunity for that to be even bigger. It just made more sense to have that size of room for the size of people that signed up for it. So it made it more condensed, and it made it a little, it changed a lot of things. The main part being the volume within the venue itself, constantly changing based off of whatever is going on in Ultimate at the time. If somebody is playing a Sora character, the audience is a little more involved than when there's just a Fox Falco matchup on the Melee side or something like that. Now, this it's if you were listening to the stream, which pretty much I'm assuming everybody did, even if you were at the event, you went back and watched some VODs of it later, you will constantly hear over the commentators' mics cheering and screaming and random chants. "Let's go Teletubbies," I believe was being chanted at one point. 99% of the time, that is not Splatoon related cheering that you're hearing. That's cheering for the Smash stuff, which was literally within just like a stone's throw of us. It was really close, all that stuff. So like, it's weird. The people in chat were like, "Man, the crowd is so hype. It's getting so hype in the crowd, hearing them over the mics," and you're like, "Oh, they're not cheering for Splatoon." Now, there were people cheering for Splatoon. It's just, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell when you're not actually there who's cheering for what, when you're just hearing the pick back on the mic. But like, you'll just see like players just like loadouts as the commentators are just talking, and then everybody goes crazy, and you're like, oh, they're clearly not rooting for the fact that somebody's using main power up on K Pro. There, it's something completely different. But but when you're actually in the venue, you easily hear that too, and it does play a factor in your gameplay. And you can very easily let it distract you. And this interesting situation. So Kingmaker play style is triple brush and a shooter. Everybody knew it was coming. Everybody is aware of that. You have plenty of time to develop a strategy to defeat this brush comp that they use. It's a little bit of a different animal, though, when you're not sitting in like your home or your apartment or your mom's basement or whatever, and you can just openly just talk to your teammates on Discord. But you also have to deal with the fact that you have to constantly call out these brushes, but you can't hear your teammates because somebody's popping off on the smash side, or like your audio got unplugged and you forgot to put it back in, or you like don't have the audio's tuned correctly to how it's supposed to be and you can't hear everything. And that some teams did complain about that who played against Kingmaker, not about Kingmaker in general, but just the fact that they couldn't keep up the voice, the vocals to keep up with them because it was so difficult to hear everything. I talked to Krabs. Krabs almost got lost to them in a game 5, and I was talking to Roundy, and Roundy was just like, yeah, we couldn't keep up with them vocally because it was just so hard to hear at certain times, and that definitely plays a factor. And you don't think about it, but I mean, a team like, and especially a team like Persistence that has Lucio, who you have to make sure all 4 of your players know where Lucio is the entire time, or else you will lose to Persistence. That is a fact. That totally depends on what is going on in the Smash side of how well your vocals are going to be. So it's really hard to kind of lock in like that. And Kingmaker played extremely well. They thought bless their heart, they thought they made top 12, and then I guess tiebreaker, I guess personal win percentage knocked them out. So it sucks, but they barely missed making top 12. And I'm not saying like they gimmicked their way through because the crowd was loud, but it definitely did play a factor, not just in Kingmaker, but in other sets as well. You had to really lock in and focus. And if the smash noise wasn't enough, you had to deal with your own opponent in a way that you might not think about. I'm sitting here trying to think, would I rather play somebody on stream or would I rather play them off stage in like on one of the stations? The more I think about it, I think it's easier to play somebody on stream than off stream. When you're on stream, yeah, you have to deal with the pressure of idiots saying things about you in chat and like, oh, getting embarrassed on stream for everyone to see or something like that. That's not what I'm worried about. What I like about playing on stream is the opponent's to your back, and you can't. Now you can hear them if they want you to hear them. You can hear them very easily, which Cherry Limeade did. I didn't realize this until we were playing Cherry Limeade, but every time they got a splat against one of our players, whether it was like an important splat or just cleaning up some last 4th player trying to escape, every single splat, yeah, every single time, and they made sure you heard it. And they made sure that you were aware that their presence was there and that they are celebrating every single time you die. And it was like, okay, that does play a little bit of factor, a little bit of mind games going on there. And they have to do that because they're behind you. Unless you just like cheat and look back at their screen, you're not really going to feel their presence that much. However, when you're playing off stream, it's a completely different story. They're not to your back. They're literally right in front of you. You can just look up and make eye contact with the person you're playing against, and you can hear their VCs extremely easily. And then you factor into the fact that somebody, the Spargo might be on stream or might not, and that completely changes the aspect of everything. It's such a unique experience from Riptide. It's not the same LAN environment as Riptide, and it changed a lot of how you had to approach each single match mentally, especially when they're right in front of you. Like, it's Roundy tweeted out how I would just like shake my head at some points whenever I splatted somebody because I was like annoyed that they would challenge my Hydra on a map like Piranha Pit without like any kind of missiles or long range or something like that. But yeah, every time I'd splatted somebody just to like hype myself up and to make myself just to inflate my own ego, I was just be like, nope. Oh, that's not going to work. But then you don't realize, oh, the opponent can just see you kind of like mocking them a little bit, or anything, or just getting hyped. It's so weird seeing your opponent right in front of you celebrating or getting upset. When we played against Fish and Quips, Lily threw a splat bomb at me. I thought I was just out of the range of the bomb, but I wasn't. I died, and I just go, and I was like, oh, wait, Lily can see that and could probably feed off of that energy that I'm frustrated by what Lily did. So there's a lot of interesting kind of mind games that you can kind of work into there that you can't do at another LAN environment, and that you cannot do online. It's so crazy. And that's why I started doing that little kind of iconic look that I had there, where I just put up my hood, put the hood on, put my headphones, and just sit there. And I don't press A, and I don't do anything. I'm just sitting there, and I'm just closing my eyes, and I'm just waiting for the timer to run out, and I'm just recollecting myself. And then I'll go at it during the game, but in between games, I'm just bringing myself back down instead of just letting my heart race throughout this entire set. That's the routine I'm going to use going forward. I'm glad I kind of developed that because it paid off a lot. But yeah, it's I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather play on stream than play off stream. It's a completely different animal when they do that. We'll start talking about some teams here. Before we do that, I'll take a look at some of the highlighted messages because I don't want them to get crazy buried here. The bonfire was an amazing addition to every night. I definitely really showed. I really was there. Yeah, a lot of people had some good times there. My fear of Riptide is that we won't have something like the bonfire, people wanting to grind Splatoon 3 at night. Possibly. Yeah. I think that will be a thing. And it depends on what the side event is, honestly. If the side event is like a Friday thing, everybody use Junior, get it over with, kind of fun thing. But if the side event is like the end of Sunday, let's use whatever weapons you've grinded up to that point, and let's actually play a single limb tournament or something like that. That will change a lot. What if Pop Gun enjoyers made losers finals of Popcast enjoyers? How do you think Stu would have introduced them? I don't know. Stu kind of comes up with things on the fly. Don't count them down, only count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That dude just makes up stuff and is really clever with it. Really happy with Teammaker's play overall. Everyone hyped for Game 5 against Krabs. Continued positivity throughout pools and redemptions. Definitely an amazing improvement since Riptide. Yeah, definitely a big step up from Riptide. And I was thinking, like, at Riptide, they got exposed. But nope, just the more things change, the more they stay the same. Teams that participated in this. Grillers got bronze. They won bronze. I think they weren't seeded to getting bronze, but I think we kind of underestimated Tub a little bit. Squids of the Filth team. Tub really flexed on a lot of people. And we know who they are now. But the Grillers fell to bronze bracket and was able to kind of rip that one apart against some strong teams that were in that bronze bracket there. Crown 9, really unfortunate for them. They finished in 4th place, but at the end, it was basically just a mash unit that they had at the end there. I subbed for them at one point. Stormy subbed for them. Stormy subbed for everybody. Stormy subbed for them throughout all of top 12, and after they knocked me out, they picked me up, which was hilarious. They beat Nonfiction, and I was like, okay, I got time before I got to do whatever. I'm gonna go get some food. Hi Delta, it was cool seeing you at Low Tide City. You were awesome. I went to go get food, and then Vincent DMs me, hey, Rizza needs to talk to you. I'm like, about what? And he was like, I don't know. So I was like, all right. So I went back, and Rizza was like, Crown 9 wants you to sub for them. And I was like, all right, sure, let's do it. I'm on stage playing against Blush, which was honestly that I think I have it here that I'll talk about it later, but that was probably my favorite moment that me and Haya little had against each other there. Other than teams that play, Persistence didn't make top 12, but you could just tell it. Like not to knock the subs that they had, who they all played really well, but I'm just sitting there thinking if they had their full legit squad, like some combination of Bearpaw, Neo, and Cannon, like every win those guys got would have been a party, and they would have celebrated, and they would have been a hype team to have on stage. Not that they weren't already with what they did there, but yeah, Persistence was pretty solid in this tournament. Especially Stormy, who won bronze, made redemption, and finished 4th place technically with all the teams that they subbed for. Special shout outs to my team, Nonfiction, who we played absolutely out of our minds on Sunday. I was just the last minute addition, like literally like 10 minutes before registration closed or so. It was just when I was like, all right, fine, I'll play with you guys. We didn't do any practice or warms ups like that. We just had an ultimately godlike run on Sunday that I was not expecting us to have. I feel really bad though, because I go back and I look at all those times we were on stream, and it was just like our team was constantly referred to as Pop Gun's team, or hey, there's Pop Gun, and there's the splash and the foil and the NZAP, but there's Pop Gun. Like, I feel like I got a lot more attention than what I deserved. Payne is insane. Payne is an insane splash player, and I think a lot of people in chat, especially some FT Win members, pointed it out in chat. It was like, Payne is going crazy right now. Chino made so many hero plays, that won us a lot of games, and Smash was huge in that game. We were about to get swept off the stage by Cherry Lamate. Smash with Foil Flingza was absolutely insane in that Mako Mart Splat Zones game. And all three of those players were great, and it's just the commentators rarely, if ever, said their names because it's my Hydra is funny. Not to say I'll happily admit I played really great myself, but those players on nonfiction names did not get said enough. So Smash, Chino, and Payne, yikes. It reminds you of how scary fiction was back in the day. Some of us older heads in Splatoon 2 definitely remember that. The team that deserves the most credit here is not FT Win for winning, although congratulations, you well deserved. Honestly, well deserved. But Blush, I knew they would be good. I told you this was the team that was going to finish number 2. I had doubts though. The question mark was, they're younger, they've never been in a LAN before. How are they going to handle that environment, especially against a team like 1-2-3-4, which was loaded with players that made not just top 16 at Riptide, but top 8 at Riptide. I believe Leotos made top 4 with Climb at Riptide. So these were players that were very experienced with LANs, very experienced at playing deep into LAN tournaments, versus a team made of +3 players that had, maybe someone did have some, but I feel like all 4 of those players had 0 LAN experience. That does play a factor, but I still believed in the power of Blush, and I was right, and those guys deserve a lot of credit for finishing in second place. I'm so doggone happy for Haya. Getting that moment on stream, getting to be announced by Stu the announcer. Yeah, you're going on and you're getting destroyed by FT Win. By the way, Blush was the only team to take 1 game off of FT Win off stage, so it wasn't a complete, a perfect tournament for FT Wins. Somebody was slightly competitive against them, even though I'm not convinced FT Win actually used their mains at any point during that tournament. Doesn't really matter. Blush had a fantastic time. Haya kind of proved to the world how good this player is. Imagine a Destiny Troop member doing something pretty incredible like what Haya was doing. And I'm really glad that I subbed for Crown 9 in that last game on stream. I'm really glad. Him and I had some really fun, memorable moments. And being able to, like, that little hug that we had at the end there, that honestly was really fun for me. That was a good moment. My wife was really kind of emotional about that hug. And I'm really glad that I got the squid bagging thing was pretty hilarious too. Speaking of squid bagging, it was part of a little bit of the atmosphere that was there. Shoutouts to Dio and Delta, who wins the award for most hype people in the crowd. And I haven't read Dio's tweet longer. I know Dio was saying that they were going to delete their socials after this one. But Dio being a part of the crowd was a huge impact on everything, and just positively got everybody going as much as they could during like the closing segments of the tournament there. It's getting everybody to cheer for Blush. If Blush had won 1 game, I think the Splatoon side of the venue would have exploded with what Dio and Delta and the rest of that crew was doing there. Hammer kind of tweeted out that just kind of listening to the Splatoon side, that we need more people in the listening to Smash side, that we need more ways to like get hyped from the crowd standpoint from the Splatoon side. And that's hard to do. I think the best moment where the crowd got the most hype was me revenge bagging Haya on stream, which I think some people thought Haya was doing that as like a malicious thing. No, we're teammates. That was more of a fun PB kind of moment we had against each other. There wasn't anything malicious about that. But when I revenge bagged him, the crowd just went absolutely nuts. And funny enough, that is the third most viewed clip all time on IPL. Number 1 is the Myopsidus play. You know what I'm talking about. Number 2 is the incident. Number 3 is me revenge bagging Haya. That is hilarious that it got seen that much already. But that was the moment the crowd got the most hype. And it's like, that shouldn't be it. We got to find ways to get the crowd more involved in the things. That's something we should probably figure out how to establish at Riptide. And it would be easier to do. The most recognizable teams, like could you imagine the Wiggly Phantoms at LAN? Like the crowd would go nuts and we would create chants for the Wiggly Phantoms. The problem is, since they're a low-level team, they would be on stream for like bronze finals when we need to be the most hype for like those epic winners finals, losers finals, and grand finals. And I know Starburst wasn't there, so there wasn't much to cheer about. But still, it's like, it's just little things. Like whenever Sora shows up for Ultimate, the entire crowd, and this is what I got a lot of goosebumps standing behind the stage and watching Ultimate Finals when Swerve was up there and like a couple hundred people are just screaming out the spells that Sora uses. Thunder, fire, ice. It legit kind of like, ooh, there's a little something there. So it's like, could we find ways to like implement that into Splatoon? I don't know. We should come up with some stuff, honestly, like a little high school pep rally cheers or some nonsense. Like, but if there's like cool ways to like start to get everybody involved whenever there's a stream going on, like whenever somebody booyahs, just the entire crowd just booyahs back or something like that. I don't know. There's got to be something we should come up with between now and Shine and Riptide. I guess the last kind of thing I want to talk about the event, I'm really dragging on. I could go even more. Personally, for me, I just spent a lot of time, spending a little bit extra time GGing some people who I felt like kind of deserved it. People that I played against for a long time. Jim on Watercolors, Magic from Fish and Quips, Stormy. I said a little something to Bronze. After Bronze, I was like, Bronze, you're so frustrating to play against. This is true. Bronze knocks me out whenever I play against Bronze. I just wanted to let these people know that I appreciate, as Splatoon 2 is coming to an end, appreciate playing against them, the battling against these guys and with them over the course of the time. Obviously with Haya, the little moment we had right there. I just wanted people to know that I appreciate fighting them in these events, and that it kind of means something taken away. The future, real quickly. So K-Bot announced on stream and at the venue that he is essentially retiring from the competitive LAN Splatoon scene as he goes off to bigger and better things in grad school. Now, Bronze tweeted out, didn't you do this at Riptide? Say goodbye to us then, and now you're saying goodbye to us now. Aren't you going to say goodbye to us at this next Riptide? Okay, so the Riptide, that was in-game TV bowing out of the scene. That's what that goodbye was for. This one is more of a personal one. A little bit of a difference there. But well-deserved. Everyone's been asking this question, and I don't think this is a fair question to ask. Who will be the new K-Bot? Whoa, hold on. We don't... That's not a good question, because you don't need a new K-Bot. We're not replacing anybody. We're not trying to just like, plug in a new person and you do what this guy did and just try to put it a little bit different. No, we're not trying to replace anybody. We're trying to just move things forward in the path that we feel like things should be moving forward, learning from the mistakes and the successes from the people who created the path for us. When I took over Kraken Mayor as being one of the head TOs for Low Inc., I wasn't just like, all right, what did Kraken do? I was like, no, what can I bring different to the table? And we now do counter picks, which most of you enjoy, and if you don't enjoy them, shut up. They're not going away. But that's kind of what we need. We need new ideas. We need to figure out new things to do here to help push these things even further. And K-Bot if K-Bot got a 4th land, keep in mind this K-Bot only did 3 lands where he was the head honcho, and I'm sure he learned stuff from every one of those lands that he wanted to implement. It's just the pandemic kind of slowed things down a little bit there. But only 3 lands is what K-Bot got there. And he probably learned something every single time. So it's not really so much, well, let's just bring it. You don't replace K-Bot. You don't get a new Michael Jordan. You just find new ways to reinvent it and take it into not like a different direction, but into the forward direction. There were a lot of issues at this event that were handled appropriately. Issues leading up to this event that were handled appropriately in an adult, mature way by all the people that were involved in that tournament, which was fantastic. You don't want to have a smooth tournament in this was supposed to be the passing of the torch. You don't want it to be smooth. Everything's fine. Winning makes everything simple. It's when you lose that you really get exposed for what your true character is. Losing exposes all of your flaws. And there were some issues leading up to this event. And there were issues during the event. And all of them got solved. And it created a smooth event. And all of those things are going to be learned from. Some issues that happened during the event. One of the stream matches, Cherry Limeade versus Burger Bottom, didn't get played on stream, and you had commentators that had to stall for like 40 minutes while we fixed an issue that just couldn't be fixed. I was just standing there watching people trying to fix it. And what we learned was we were trying to, so when people are disconnecting and they can't stay in the lobby, you just got to start changing out equipment, change out a dock, change out a charging cable, or a LAN adapter cable, an actual LAN cable, all like you just change out everything. And what we found out what was going on was whenever we changed something out and we found out, okay, this thing is bad, we put it on a table and then we grabbed the other thing on the table, not realizing everything on that table was bad. So we just kept switching out bad stuff with bad stuff. And it was like, wait, we're never identifying where the bad stuff is. So we just keep using it instead of bringing in new things that try that out instead. But that issue ultimately got solved, and I'm glad that issue happened, because now when we're at Riptide and that issue's going forward, we're like, oh, okay, now I remember this happening. Maybe we can fix it in a quicker way when we can identify things that are bad. Devin getting COVID, aka Nitro, and not being able to physically be at the event. That was massive. I think if Vincent hadn't come in, I don't know if we would have had a stream or not, or if we did, it would have been extremely scuffed if that was the case. So, and honestly, Devin not being there forced a lot of people to step up, and it forced a lot of people to learn how to do things. Some of us learned how to read sponsorship ads on stream. Not all of us did it, but we at least got a crash course on how to do that. That's as us as commentators get deeper into the scene, we're gonna have to do a better job. Stop it, Magic. I'm gonna giggle right now. We're gonna have to do a better job of spitting those ridiculous things they want us to say out in a professional manner. Keep in mind, Papa John's is real and fresh. Smells good, don't it? So that was kind of a cool thing. The biggest issue, though, behind the scenes was how much change had to take place in the commentating schedule. A lot of so we got some good commentators that play in this scene. What makes us such good commentators is that we actually play the game and we're decent at it, mid-level players or something like that. The problem is, how do we commentate and play at the same exact time? Well, you just kind of seed around it. You just kind of be like, I think nonfiction's going to get knocked out here. I think Fish and Quips, which had 3 commentators on it and a production person as their 4th as well, I'm expecting them to get knocked out around here. And then when that doesn't happen, well, you got to pull some stuff out of your butt. If Fish and Quips had beaten Crown 9, I don't know what would happen, because I was still going, and then Magic, Lily, and Fusion are still going. So I think K-Bot had some bias going on there towards the end of that tournament. It was like, come on, knock these suckers out so I can get my staff back, please. So it's funny because I I was the one who ended up ruining most of it because nonfiction was not supposed to do as good as we did. That's straight up. But the commentary thing did kind of allow us to win. So we played Fish and Quips at the beginning of Sunday, and they were a little sluggish coming out the gate and never really caught up. And I didn't think about it till later. One of the reasons they were sluggish, my team got 40 minutes to warm up. Lily and Fusion didn't, because they were commentating bronze finals. So they had to commentate for 2 hours, get off that, and immediately play a competitive game against a team that's warmed up and ready to go. We had such a huge advantage just because of that. But it's hard to kind of work around those kind of schedules because the show has to go on. And yeah, I played so well, or nonfiction played so well, I lost my lead into grand final spot, which kind of sucked for me, but it's not anyone's fault. It's just my fault. But like, I've been grinding commentary I think I've done about 15 to 20 commentary blocks this year alone, because I want to start getting these grand final spots at these lands. Like I feel like I'm a good commentator, but I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. So I'm grinding tournaments as often as I can commentary wise so that I can get those spots. So losing that spot felt bad. However, beating Cherry Limeade reverse sweep on stage felt pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. If you told me I had to give up a commentary spot for a moment like that, which quite honestly I might never get again, I'll take it. I'll take it. That felt pretty good, not going to lie. And it's what a flex. What a flex to be able to say, not only did I outplay my seed, bruh, I outplayed my commentary block. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So there you go. Yeah, like maybe going forward, some of us commentators / volunteers / players need to start picking lanes. I think I'm not going to sit here and say I'm retiring from playing competitive Splatoon and LAN environments, but that day's coming where I need to start focusing on certain aspects in this one and start putting the game down and settle down in general. But man, that's hard to put into your mind after the Sunday nonfiction had. I'm not gonna lie, that's really hard to take out of your mind. The most important thing from this, though, as we're looking into the future, Magic, I'm really drawing on here. This is gonna be a lengthier episode. Shine and Riptide as Splatoon 2 events are going to be fine. Low Tide City was not supposed to be as popular as it was, but we found ways to make it incredible. Whether it's the hypeness of the event with Smash Brothers being there, whether it's the fire pit or the everybody experiencing Whataburger for the first time, whatever it is, as long as the Splatoon community is able to just hang out with each other, we're just a giant family. I've said this several times. We're just a giant family, and seeing each other again is nice to see, especially these teenagers, because we're literally watching people grow up. It's like, oh, you got a lot taller than the last time I saw you. It's kind of weird, but it's the beauty of being a smaller community, that we just kind of get growing here. It doesn't matter what the game is. If it's 2 or 3, people are going to come out. People are going to have a good time, and life is going to be good. A few more highlighted messages we'll get through here. Dio also saved Crab by lending us his headset for day 2. Oh, Crab? Yeah, I lent my headset to somebody, and then I had to borrow Soren's headset and then Haya's headset off of that. It was a lot better at Riptide when there were extra headsets available, but I think with pandemic, you can't really get headsets, and those things are hard to come by in general. So I think all of us just need to invest in solid headsets that are going to lands for the time being. My cheap, like $30 or $40 one worked out really well. But if you can get some noise canceling things, that can really pay dividends for you as well. Harry says, shout missiles every time someone fires missiles. Yeah, that's gonna get old kind of quick. I appreciate contesting against all these players that I've known for so long. It felt like so animated and weird. But yes, yeah, that's a legit feeling there, Magic. Haya says, any comment on how you called me a little? You are a little poop, dude. That's the best compliment I can say about you. It also, that's supposed to be that little, what we said to each other in that hug was supposed to be private. That's just a personal conversation. K-Bot says, just want to say that I did virtually no prep work because I was so busy this month. The team really carried a lot of the prep work for this event, and we were a blast to work with. I have complete confidence they'll be able to carry on the roles necessary for the event. Yes. That was something I noticed as well. Not you not doing anything, but Siren taking over help desk, Kraken and Raze and Rizza being very active leading up to the event as well. So that's why I was like, these guys now know how to build up to the event, and now you were able to show them how to run the event in person. So those two pieces kind of put together works out. The last message here, me and Dio started calling out flanks really loud and not going that way just to throw off the enemy team. That, that's a pretty decent idea. That's a pretty decent idea, actually. Interesting mind games you can go with there. Dio popped off. Every time I watched Dio was dropping like 20 bombs on people. Dio showed why they were a strong player when they were playing the game pretty consistently. Yikes. It took us an hour, but we're going to breeze through before we get to Magic, weekly recap. Another reason why you want to stay off-site. The bed sheets and pillows are notoriously trash at these those resorts. Paddling Pool 160 took place over the past Wednesday. Outlookers was able to 3-0 Hollow. That's kind of an impressive win. I didn't really able to see who was on Outlookers, but the 160th edition of this paddling pool tournament that I don't always get the chance to talk about. 4 Early Beans took third place, and Grape plus Brian took fourth. 19 teams signed up for this one. It was groups in the single elimination. I believe the last time I looked at this, it was a double elimination tournament. So it was good to see that going on as well. Mystic and Will took place, I believe, on Saturday. The 5th Mystic and Will tournament was won by a team name that I cannot read, so I'll just name out the players. Isabel, Medi, Jay, and Goss. G-O-S, is it Goss or Ghost? I believe a Nautilus player won that one. The second place team, their team name was just Well, I believe, but it was Nori, Fanta, Zers, and GIY. 10-team double elimination tournament with a $40 first place prize. If you are signing up for a tournament, do you look and see, you know what? I'm not going to sign. Oh, wait a minute. I got $40. I'll play in that. That interests me. I wonder if those guys can just save the $40 and buy themselves one water at the Kalahari Resort with that. Megalodon Cup Clan Blitz Edition was won by none other than the team who has disbanded and came back for High Ink, but disbanded again and are now seemingly back again now that summer is coming along. Resilience! Nothing more resilient than that, baby. Hey, I've been playing Sendou Queue with some of these resilient players. They're pretty good, and I feel like they've been grinding and ready to come back. Especially Daybreak on Nautilus is pretty scary to go up against. This was a Clan Blitz edition. The team that finished in second place was 15-year-olds. Oh, Megalodon Cup. I didn't know if this was going to come back with the merger with MIT, but it's still going on, so there. Fair enough. Congratulations, Resilient. Silver wanted me to make sure. You think I wouldn't see this, Silver? I catch everything. Unless I don't. The Rams drafted nobody because they had barely any draft picks. The Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett, who's going to be their quarterback that's eventually going to replace Mitchell Trubisky because he's trash. Kansas City got some quarterback from Washington. And yes, if you have a favorite Steelers or NFL team, I'll start talking about them when the season starts like I did last year. And that was a very quick and brief weekly recap. Sponsored by Assault to Pepper, the team that introduced everyone to this extremely gross fire red soda that will not be named. So there you go. A2P, the official sponsor of gross sodas and the weekly recap this episode. Congratulations, A2P. Now what is we got through it. Normally I end episodes here, but we still have more of Low Tide City stuff to talk about. So let me quickly introduce so that I can start going back to drinking water, which I didn't do last set. Their record third appearance on the podcast. Member of Fish and Quips, commentator, player, TO, and overall TikTok star. Welcome in the one and only Magic 8-Ball. Magic, welcome to the Popcast.
Thank you so much for having me, of course. And I can't believe it's been 3 times, actually.
So you're on like really early on when I started doing these, like episode 10 or something like that, to talk about the College Cephalopod Association. And then after the first Squid Boards, we had you on. So there you go. You were tied with like K-Bot and Emil and JPEG. So now, actually, no, JPEG hosted one. So that counts as 3. So now you're tied with JPEG at 3. Fair enough.
I'll take that.
Oh, man. Hey, when did you get back? When did you get back home?
I got back home late last night. I ended up getting delayed in Charlotte on my flight to Philly, and then had to take a pretty late train back into Center City to walk to my apartment. But I'm good now. Had a good day of resting up. Went to the grocery store, and yeah.
And also the good news, there's just 3 more days till the weekend. We got to skip a couple of days there, so pretty nice.
Exactly.
Just there's some other talking points we'll get into, but before we get into that, I just want like your initial overall thoughts about how Low Tide City went.
For me, it topped Riptide, and I loved everything about Riptide and everyone who went there, and obviously like I went with ITAP, and having that experience with them was fantastic, but this one for me just takes the cake in every single way.
There's a lot of things I liked about this one too. Was it now if they didn't have a fire pit, where would this be better than Riptide?
I still think so, mainly because I got to perform like at a very high level, higher than I've been playing at, higher than I played at Riptide, and generally felt very confident about my play. I felt like I was socializing a lot more, just generally. Like even not with the fire pit, I felt like I was doing better at like getting to know people and talking to more people and making more connections in the venue, as well as meeting finally the teammate that I've been wanting to meet for 5 years since Vitamin C.
Oh, that was your
Lily.
first time meeting Lily?
That was my first time meeting Lily after we've been teaming for 5 years together.
I would assume you would have ran into each other at a Smash and Splash or something.
I never went to one.
Oh.
The first LAN that I went to was LISS 2019, and that is like one of the ones that Lily didn't make it to, which was really unfortunate.
Wings and Flume, Tidal Wave.
Yes, and fun fact, we had Siren as our sub.
Oh,
it's a small world, Popgun. It is a small world.
Well, speaking of people you met, Skep in chat says hi, and it's a highlighted message, so I'll acknowledge it. So there you go.
Skep, I love you too.
So one of the things you were doing a lot of things there, obviously, commentating, playing, socializing, running the spectator cam properly, and also volunteering here and there. One of the other things I kind of noticed you doing, you were kind of like covering the event like a journalist, especially for like the TikTok crowd. So like what kind of storylines did you think kind of developed over the course of this LAN?
I think that, well, there was one in particular that was being intentionally fabricated. I will say that between Fish and Quips and Cherry Limeade, because, like, Fish and Quips had Lily, which is a Limeade member, and I've been good friends with the Limeade crew for a long time, as well as Fusion and Marsh, and so we wanted that to be a whole show, and then you had to go in and mess it all up, but it's fine. It's fine. But just generally, the story of Crown Nine, how they had to play through a bunch of subs and still ended up doing super well, um, and having Vice, who is someone who isn't known for their play, doing really well at a LAN with a very stacked event. And teams like A2P and Nonfiction, who have been around for such a long time and played super duper well, and got a massive group like they do at every LAN of just that squad and how their story has been carrying on from all of these LANs, and things of that nature. And then of course there's the story that we all know with Blush. There's a story that we all know with oh god, I don't know why Isabel's in chat. Hi, Isabel. I'm I might get pulled away. We'll see. And yeah, there are so many people there with such a storied history, and I wanted to try and just capture that event and that feeling for all of the people who might not know it on the TikTok crowd, right?
Yes. So you were able to kind of like post some videos of just like, hey, here's what this is and here's why this is different. Did you get any kind of feedback from that from people who might not have even known that LLTC was a thing?
Oh, like the comments I got were all super positive. I got like, let me check. I know I got like 10 on one video. I got like 25 on another. There was the one that really did well, and that was the LAN crowd small video that I did, just showing like there are people that are literally standing behind you, cheering you on, even if you're not on stage, and that caught people's interest, right? And everyone was kind of saying like, I'm seeing this all over Twitter. I'm so sad I can't get to these. Bro, that's lit. And things of that nature. So like, I think that it's an important thing to be pushing it to that audience.
Yeah, I bet you the vast majority of people that play Splatoon had no idea that was even a thing that could happen.
Yes.
I didn't know about like LANs until I got involved in competitive. And then I was like, wait, what's this Smash and Splash 5? What was 1 through 4, So it's like there's a lot of people that would be interested in Low Tide City that just don't know it's a thing you could even do. And kind of like you've hit one was kind of like exposing it to TikTok crowd. That's honestly some stuff that we need to kind of evolve into. And everyone's like, well, Splatoon 3, all the casuals are going to come in then. It's like, well, we still got to find ways to connect to them.
I do want to make a specific point here. And I was having a Twitter conversation with Negus about this, but the best way to get that kind of level of engagement and promotion is if all of the Splatoon streamers are talking about it. And I'm comparing it to Valorant. All of the Valorant streamers know what VCT is. They know when it's happening. They know the team's going in, and they're going to talk about it when crazy stuff goes down. And that doesn't happen. There are a few that do, like Negus, like you, like Mel, Barry, and Falco specifically, who's coming to these lands consistently, talking about his experiences, and pushing that to a wider audience. That is so important. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen as often as we would like it to. Although, I don't know if you saw this, but last night, Moist Critical rated Aaron, FGC, who has been, a mixed betwixt the members of some of the higher level players, and Aaron rated Kyo with 2,000 viewers and during his celebration stream.
I saw that and I was so confused. I got on Twitch to look at some VODs of Low Tide City and noticed Kyo was live at like 1 a.m. with like 2,000 plus viewers. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Are there really that many people excited about FT winning Low Tide City? I was like, okay, but it found out it got raid, but it looked like a lot of those people stuck around after that raid. of who is Moist Critical? Am I gonna get flamed for not knowing that?
Yes, you
Okay,
are.
fair
Moist
enough.
Critical is a very popular YouTuber who had started quote unquote Moist Esports. But like I'm talking like Moist Critical is probably in like top 200 YouTube channels period at this point.
Okay.
And he started Moist Esports, and Moist Esports is sponsoring Smash players.
Okay. And that somehow all ended up with Keo at some
Yep.
point. There you go. Yeah, that was I noticed that. Kind of slightly off topic. Do you know when Starburst was playing, what was Kiver's team in Ludi? Like Friends or something.
Oh, yes.
Whatever that team was. That got a gazillion views as well. That set in particular, like several thousand people. Did you ever know what that was about? Like how that many people were
I
watching that?
I did not know about that, to be honest. I that is news to me.
Okay, I just remember seeing that one interest. It must have just been somebody else rated the right person at the right time. But yeah, whenever
Mhm.
it's nice whenever competitive Splatoon randomly has that many people watching a stream. It's not consistent, but it's still like it definitely catches your attention. Um, Speaking of TikTok, Carrot sent me this thing. It was like, what is this tournament Magic's doing with TikTok? And I was like, I have no idea, but he might be on tomorrow. I'll ask
Yeah.
him. What is this TikTok tournament?
So, myself and a couple of other creators in the community. Well, this actually, so it started before me. It started before me. JA Creative, Neo Venom of Kappa, and Matthew Mega, who's currently on Crimson Quake, My Like Paradise. That Matthew Mega, um, they have all been doing this tournament from TikTok. Like they promote it on TikTok, promote it to that crowd, get it there, have their own Discord server, and put on a tournament. And it's they brought me on to help a little bit after learning that like I'm decently well recognized in the scene and have tournament organizing experience. They helped me get on. They brought Valorok on, and we've all been kind of trying to make a tournament for that crowd. Basically, there's a skill like if a competitive team comes in, we're gonna skill cap them, basically, and we want it to be sort of a breeding ground for people to see if tournaments are their thing.
Do you okay? So it's basically for like people who want to get into competitive.
Yes.
So do you if like an actual team, established team that would play consistently in low ink were to sign up for that, would you like deny them, or you would be like, hey, this isn't really the point of this, guys?
I think that they talked about it and div capped it at 5. So I think like there
Oh
was
wow.
a team that um had been playing in low inks. They didn't even like win, I don't think. I don't even think they won. I think that a team that was fully made of people from TikTok won. But there was a competitive team that ended up joining, I believe. And I think
Okay.
that they had done decently in low ink prior. I could be remembering these things wrong. And Neo, if I am, correct me. I don't know if you're still here.
And the date of this next one is when? Because I saw there is one coming up, right?
Uh, Tournaments are going to continue after Splat 3 releases, so
Oh,
September
okay.
9th is when we're going to start like pushing things again.
Gotcha.
Just because everyone's going to be uber busy this summer.
Okay. Well, fair enough. We'll keep an eye out for that. That would be a good timing for all of those things to
Right?
kind of pop off there. If you're just joining us, we are talking with the Magic 8 Ball, who did a fantastic job of kind of commentating there. What was it like commentating in a TriCast? I know we were like planning on doing that, but in my head I didn't really know how it was going to work. Was it going to be like the awkward Nintendo one where Jordan just kind of sets up Nine and Ashley
Right.
with questions that they might not want to answer in the moment, or was it more natural? Like how was it from your perspective, knowing K-Bot's in chat? How was the TriCast?
So this is my second TriCast. The first TriCast I ever did was I can't remember. I know it was with Rissa. I can't remember who the third person was because I have a memory of a squirrel. But what we did there was we did a sort of uh did we call it a treadmill? Essentially, we just went 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It was with K-Bot. It was with K-Bot. Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. I just didn't want to misremember.
Right.
And we did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we just kept going in a circle.
Okay.
And so that's one way that you can do it.
So that's much more natural than the one guy dishes it off back and forth like they're moderating a debate or something.
It almost went like that for this cast specifically, but in person you can do like small hand signals. Like what we did was we just reached out a hand if we wanted to interject. Person would finish their thought, pass it off to the person who wanted to interject. Okay. And then if something happened, like K-Bot would keep going. Or when a thought was done and from Lily and I didn't have anything, K-Bot would pick it up. You know what I mean? And so it sort of defaulted to like me and Lily were kind of getting passed off a little bit. But it was very dynamic. And although we did stumble a couple of times, it felt very good because we could all see each other and look at each other and sort of like have that little small nonverbal interaction.
Good question in chat. I could answer this, but you're here, so I would like your thoughts as well. How different is it to commentate in person versus online?
I mean, everything feels so much different, to be honest. Like, instead of staring at a screen and that's like the only thing that you have to worry about, you have to worry about, like, you know, can you hear yourself well, or are you peaking in the mic to your headset? Are you peaking for other people? Like, and there's all of that extra stimuli that you have to take care of, as well as watching what the people are doing on stage, taking cues from production if anything crazy happens, or if, you know, like somebody needs to slip you a sticky note. But once you get into it, it feels so much better than casting online because you don't have that small Discord delay.
Yes.
And, you know, you can tell when somebody's about to interject. You don't have that barrier with the players, and that's important as well.
Yeah, it's a lot better when there, like you said, there is no delay. It's all more right in front of your face. It's like you're actually having a conversation with the person because you're sitting right next to them. You can see their facial reactions and everything. And it's a lot better. It's weird for us because what we hear in our head, so like we hear ourselves, we hear our partner, and we hear like sometimes the producer says something or the game audio, but what we hear is like not at all close to what's actually being spit out to the stream, sent out to the stream. So yeah, you don't know what it actually sounds like till you go back and watch it later. You just got to assume it sounds perfect, which it kind of pretty much is because we got fantastic people behind the scenes.
Fantastic people.
Lastly here, you kind of wanted to mention, or, you know, it's funny. One of the last things K-Bot said to me was, you need to consider doing a local. And I was like, no. But this is a point you're kind of bringing up here, is that we need to like find ways to take advantage of these bigger lands that are going on and translate them to local scenes. Now, you're running a local in Philly. And K-Bot's done this before as well with Columbus, but like how do you think we can kind of take advantage of the hype that we kind of just ended with, and like translate it into a local scene? And I guess what is the importance of adding locals to Splatoon?
It's the same reason that it's important to have larger lands, in my opinion, and that's because I was talking with Nito about this at the campfire, because it was a perfect example of this situation. Whereas, had I not been at that campfire, had I not been at the fire pit, I wouldn't have been talking to Nito and making that connection and kind of crossing that barrier. What local scenes end up doing is functioning a lot like clans, which is something that we don't have anymore, and it's a shame. But the reason that Smash scenes are always so fluid and have these like such strong crowds and like groups and like these tight-knit communities is because that's what happens during locals, is you grow closer to people on a consistent basis, and that skill gap no longer becomes an issue, and you can cross it, and you can make connections through it.
That's a valid point, because that's literally why I'm here today. because of clans that I got involved in with Split Troops, and because of K-Bot's local that I went to that one time.
Exactly.
And I guess, I mean, not just the Philly thing, but I went to one of those ITAP meetings before, and seen all
Before it was before it became a Purdue only thing. Yes, that was. I looked at that photo recently. That was hilarious.
Okay, so that was you, me, Allie, and somebody from like Inkvaders, I think. And I feel like there was one other person I'm missing.
And there was one other person who kind of disappeared into the void, and it was the five of us, and we sat down in a Purdue random classroom and played a local play.
We played Salmon Run. That's what we did.
Yeah, it was so bad.
But again, that was my first time meeting you and Allie, which bridged the connection kind of thing that you're talking about there.
Exactly.
Last thing, when is the Fish and Quips versus Cherry Limeade money match?
TBD. Believe that we still have not gotten a confirmation from some players on whether or not they would be around and or willing, but expect news on that soon.
That is, you heard it here first on the Popcast. The hooded pop gun ruined everything, and because of that, there's now going to be a stream. I should be allowed to commentate that if that is to take place. I'm staking my claim in that right now. I'm just saying. Magic, thanks for coming on. I know this was kind of a last minute plan thing. So I was just like talking openly, like, does anyone want to be on the Popcast in 2 days? And Magic was like, I'll do it. And kind of threw it together last minute. So thanks for coming on. We'll have you on again at some point as well. I'm sure we'll make this a regular thing, as we have been doing.
I'd love to be a part of it again.
And there we go. That was the Magic 8 Ball. Once again, making a third appearance on the podcast. I think we got through all the highlighted stuff. There's nothing else I really want to talk about. It's been an hour and 24 minutes, and this was a lengthy episode. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're talking about next week. I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead what's going on. But if you would like to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach out to me in my socials below. Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok at Mr_Popgun. We are going to raid my best buddy, Carrot Live, who's like, I'm never streaming at this time, so I never get to raid her, who's actually streaming. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. If you want to go to these lands, you got to be vaccinated. I believe this was the last time you could get away with it with just a negative test. Don't quote me on that, but get vaccinated, guys. It's important. Stay safe.